I can solve the value of a trig ratio given another trig ratio. Angle A terminates in the third quadrant, where sine of the angle is equal to -4/5. Determine cos and tan. Since sine is y/r, we know that the y value has to be -4. We know the r value is 5, and that it ends in the third quadrant. So I'm going to draw a sketch of all the information that I know. In this case, I know what the r value is. I know what y is. I don't know what x is. So I'm solving for a different part of my right triangle. But I'm still going to use Pythag. I'm still going to manipulate this. But in this case, because I'm solving for x squared, I'm going to move the y squared over and say x squared is equal to r squared minus y squared. Remembering that if you get a number that is bigger than your radius, you're wrong. So x squared is going to equal 5 squared minus -3 squared, or 25 minus 9. Sorry, it was 4. Getting ahead of myself. 25 minus 16, which is going to equal 9. Now x would equal 3, but here's where you need to use logic. Because it's in quadrant 3, we know that x is actually negative. We already know that based on where it exists. So even though it's 3 units along here, the actual x value would be -3. Now that I know that x is -3, y is -4, and r is 5, I can solve for the other ratios. Cos of A would equal my x value over r, or -3/5. Tan of A would be my y over x, or -4/3, which is the same as +4/3 because tan should be positive in this quadrant. For example 4, it tells us that if tan of theta is -2/3 and cos is positive, find the exact value of sine. Well, if tan is negative and cos is positive, then in all the quadrants, except for quadrant 1 where they're all positive, and we know it can't be quadrant 1 because tan is negative, in all the other quadrants, only one of the ratios is positive. So if cos is positive and tan is negative, this has to exist in quadrant 4. So when I'm sketching this out, I know it has to be in quadrant 4 over here, and I can use that with my information. We also know that tan is y over x. And in quadrant 4, y is the one that's negative. My x values are positive. So y has to be -2, which means that my x has to be +3. I can use this to solve for my r. R squared is equal to 3 squared plus -2 squared, or if I want to make it quick, the square root of 3 squared plus -2 squared. R is going to equal the square root of 13, which I can't reduce at all. If it wants to know what my sine ratio is, then sine is equal to y over r, or -2 over the square root of 13.